This evening, 1,700 young people completed the Teach Them Young Learn to Swim program. Man fatally stabbed by friend amid a friendly cricket match. Mother of two dies in an accident on the Soesdyke Linden Highway. In the region, Ecuador, Guayaquil blast declaration of war by gangs, officials. And internationally, Sierra Leone protests, inflation pushing families into poverty. Welcome to another broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Updates. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. A mother of two tragically lost her life in an accident at Long Creek on the Linden Soesdyke Highway on Sunday, August 14th. The deceased woman has been identified as 35-year-old Natoya Narayan of Pleasance, East Coast, Demerara. According to eyewitnesses, Narayan was driving at a fast rate of speed when she lost control of the car and ended up on the opposite side of the road before the car hit the barranca and toppled, coming to a halt on the side. Narayan was taken out in an unconscious condition and transported to the Linden Hospital complex, where she was pronounced dead on arrival. Her 11-year-old daughter, along with her boyfriend and his child, were also in the vehicle at the time of the accident. However, the boyfriend and his child sustained minor injuries, while Narayan's daughter sustained a broken leg that required surgery. Relatives of Narayan said that she and her daughter were staying with her boyfriend in Linden, and at the time of the incident, they were heading back to Georgetown. Her body is at a funeral home awaiting a post-mortem examination. What was supposed to be a friendly game of cricket among friends ended abruptly when one of the players was stabbed by another during a disagreement. Esther Sobers has more details.
Just days before his wedding, a 24-year-old man was fatally stabbed during an argument with a friend at the Muslim Youth Organization ground, Wilford Avenue, Georgetown, on Friday, August 12th. The dead man has been identified as Karim Kayum of Regent Street Border. Investigations revealed that Kayum and the 21-year-old suspect were known to each other and would play cricket together at the Muslim Youth Organization ground every Friday evening. According to a police report, during their usual game on Friday, Kayum had made a complaint that the suspect was calling him unsavory names. The suspect was cautioned by an elder person to desist from the same. Subsequently, Kayum and the suspect became involved in a scuffle while the suspect was seen with a knife in his hand, after which blood started coming from Kayum's chest area. He was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital complex, where on arrival he was seen by a doctor but died while receiving treatment. The body is presently lying at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. Kayum was supposed to get married later this month. The suspect was arrested and taken to the Albertown police station, where he gave a written statement before being placed into custody. The investigation is in progress. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Some 1,700 youths have successfully completed the annual Teach Them Young Learn to Swim program executed by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports and the National Sports Commission. The 4-week exercise, which commenced on July 18, allowed children ages 10 to 18 years old the opportunity to develop key swimming techniques. At the closing ceremony on Sunday, Minister Charles Ramson Jr. noted that safety was a major priority and parents were allowed to attend and share in the responsibility of the safety of the participants. He noted everyone wants what's best for their children and it is the parents' responsibility to guide their children. He also urged parents to get their children involved in different activities and noted that the government would continue to provide opportunities for them to develop in various fields. In underscoring the importance of such an initiative and its impact on the lives of young people, several parents expressed gratitude for the undertaking. Classes were conducted Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 2 locations, Colgreen Swimming Pool at Camp Street and the National Aquatic Center. Stick around after the break. Venezuelan woman fatally shot amid coming to a friend's aid, and Kanu made 2 narcotics busts over the weekend.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I
want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. Officers of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit made 2 drug busts on Saturday, August 13, 2022. Officers conducted an operation at Hill Street, Alvoystown, Georgetown. A subsequent search of the premises led to the discovery of a quantity of suspected cannabis. The narcotics were escorted to the Canoe headquarters, where they were tested positive for cannabis and weighed approximately 14 kilograms, with an estimated street value of approximately 1.8 million Ghana dollars. 3 persons were arrested and are in custody assisting with the investigations. Additionally, officers conducted an operation in the community of Sheet Anchor, East Country Berbice. A subsequent search of a yard with a wooden building and neighboring bushes yielded the discovery of a quantity of suspected cannabis hidden in the bushes. The narcotics were taken to Canoe's headquarters. It tested positive for cannabis and weighed approximately 12 pounds. There were no arrests, however, investigations are ongoing. Another woman was tragically killed by an abusive man while attempting to help a friend. Here now is Esther Sobers with the details.
An incident at Mausi Landing, Kamawak, Region 8 on Friday, August 12th has left 1 woman dead and another nursing gunshot wounds. 28-year-old Venezuelan national Rosemary Torres was fatally shot while trying to save her friend from physically being abused. According to reports, the fatal shooting took place in the wee hours at a shop located at Mausi Bagdam Landing in Madi district. Several bystanders, including the friend who Torres died trying to save, was reportedly injured during the shooting. Ilami Perozzo, the injured friend, and the suspect were reportedly in a relationship and were drinking at the shop with some other individuals. Torres was present when an argument ensued between the couple and things reportedly turned violent. Some eyewitnesses related that the man started to beat Peruzzo. Torres intervened to defend her. However, this angered the suspect and he pulled out a shotgun and shot at them several times. Torres was struck several times and killed, while several other persons were injured. The suspect immediately fled the scene. The injured woman was taken to the Madi District Hospital. Torres was pronounced dead. Peruzzo was treated and admitted as a patient in a stable condition. Torres and her daughter had traveled to Guyana some time back to escape the hardship in Venezuela. Seeking a good source of income, she ended up in Madi with her daughter. Her friends are now trying their best to transport her daughter back to Venezuela so that she can be with the relatives there. The police are on the hunt for the suspect as a probe into the murder continues. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sowers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away after the break. UK rail strike. Employees call for better pay and conditions. And humanitarian crisis deepens during first year of Taliban takeover.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we'll take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Government officials in Ecuador have blamed a deadly explosion in the port city of Guayaquil on organized crime. At least 5 people were killed and 26 were injured in the blast on Sunday. Ecuador's interior minister said it was a declaration of war by criminal gangs against the government. The Andean country, which is used as a cocaine smuggling route from neighboring Peru and Colombia, has seen a sharp rise in murders and gang-related crimes recently. A state of emergency has been declared in Guayaquil, Ecuador's most populous city and an important trade hub. It is the 4th emergency in Ecuador since October because of gang violence. Internationally, rising inflation in Sierra Leone is pushing many families into extreme poverty and onto the streets. Last Wednesday, anti-government protests turned violent, leading to the death of 27 people, including 6 police officers. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports from Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Business is slowly picking up at Freetown's main market. On Wednesday, the country was rocked by the worst violence since the end of its 11-year civil war. In response, the government announced a reduction in the price of petrol, the 3rd in less than a month. But for shoppers like Maria Majalo, fuel wasn't the only issue, and the demonstrations did nothing to bring down the cost of food.
Just now I want to buy pepper. The woman said it's 10,000, so I couldn't buy it because I left the pepper like 3 days ago, 8,000, and today it's 10,000, so I don't know what the problem.
People here say the prices, especially of food, are far higher than most people can afford. Just 6 months ago, this cup of rice was 21 cents. Now it's 50% more. Both traders and buyers lose as a result.
Making it harder for small traders like Awana too.
I've been sitting here since morning. No one came to buy. That means there is no money for me and the orphans in my care.
The government says it's working to stabilize prices.
Government has set up an Essential Goods and Services Committee headed by the Chief Minister, whose basic responsibility is to monitor availability and the prices of various essential commodities that constitute the food basket.
But food inflation isn't the only problem people have to contend with. Transport and rent have also gone up. With inflation exceeding 25%, Sierra Leoneans may have to brace themselves for more price increases. It's not clear if the government's latest measures will be enough to prevent a repeat of this week's violent protests. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Railway passengers in the United Kingdom have been hit by a disruption due to train driver strike. Thousands of 9 railway company employees are demanding better pay and working conditions. Al Jazeera's Harry Fawcett reports.
One of London's busiest stations closed for business. For the unlucky, if constant stream of would-be travellers arriving at London Euston, the same story: confusion, disappointment, the hasty remaking of plans. But at a time when so many are struggling with the mounting cost of living, notably little condemnation of the striking rail workers.
People clearly aren't listening, and working class people are saying we can't afford it. So maybe this will help. It's a shame, but I think for the greater good, it has to be done, really.
Hopefully it does help.
After a rail holiday through Europe, Sean's frustration was with the rail companies, as he and his friends struggled to get home to Dublin.
This was planned, they didn't decide to not turn up to work today. So this absolutely could have been avoided, planned around, alternatives offered, or at the very least they could have delisted the trains for today.
Thousands of rail workers belonging to the ASLEF union went on strike on Saturday, leaving no services in some parts of the country or greatly diminished elsewhere. It's the latest and far from the last in a summer of transport strikes, long simmering disputes compounded by a cost of living crisis.
What we're now saying, as many other groups and many other sectors saying across the whole of the UK, is now we need a cost of living increase. But against the background of that then, the companies have signed a contract with the government, apparently, whereby they can't offer more than 2% without the government say so.
With passenger numbers and revenues still well short of pre-pandemic levels, the Rail Delivery Group, which represents the train companies, says any pay rises will have to be paid for. It says unions need to agree to modernised working practices, more incorporation of Sundays into the regular working week, and higher productivity from each driver's shift.
But this is about more than just the rail industry. Strikes have taken place or are planned across numerous sectors. The government is worried that high wage awards could embed the inflation that it hopes will relent once the pressures from Ukraine and from the pandemic start to ease. But those pressures have already hit hard in households across the country.
There'll be still more disruption next week. Another major rail union is calling for tens of thousands of workers to walk off the job on Thursday and Saturday. Harry Fawcett, Al Jazeera, London.
And finally, Monday marks 1 year since the Taliban took power in Afghanistan. After last year's chaotic scenes of Afghans trying to flee the country, the economy has collapsed, millions of people face food shortages, and women have been stripped of their rights. Al Jazeera's Usman bin Javed reports.
A rare sound in Afghanistan. A musician and driver, Akhtar has lived in a refugee camp since his childhood. He's among the more than 3 million people displaced in Afghanistan.
Before it was good, but now life just passes us by. Before we could find some food for our children, but the change in government means there is no work now.
A year ago, tens of thousands of people headed for the borders as provinces fell to the Taliban. Many in Kabul rushed to the airport as the Western-backed government collapsed. After taking refuge abroad, Ashraf Ghani's denied that he escaped with suitcases full of cash. More than 100,000 people left during the abrupt withdrawal of foreign forces. The economy collapsed, and the US froze billions of dollars of foreign reserves.
The US-NATO alliance spent an estimated $300 million a day, every day, for 2 decades. But basics such as roads, schools, hospitals are either non-existent or in poor shape. Since the Taliban took over, that money has stopped coming in and thousands of professionals have left.
Human Rights Watch has accused the Taliban of a long list of abuses, restricting the rights of women and girls, suppressing media freedom, and detaining, torturing and executing critics and perceived opponents. All allegations the Taliban denies.
In some other areas, things are good. We're trying to improve. But we should also take into account the problems of the coronavirus, the suspension of foreign aid, the freezing of money, the problems in banking, the drought. All of these together have increased the problems for the people of Afghanistan.
For those who've left, life's not easy. More than half the 20,000 Afghans who reached the UK are still in temporary accommodation. There's a lack of prospects abroad, and many face harassment and the threat of detention.
I lost everything, including my restaurant. I planned to go to Europe, so I went to Turkey. Unfortunately, they captured us and deported us to Iran. Thank God now we are in our homeland, and now we'll never go anywhere else.
In a year, security has improved, but poverty and desperation have increased. And while the Taliban seeks international recognition, there are some concessions it seems unwilling to make. Samar bin Javed, Al Jazeera, Kabul.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2's Headline News Update. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.